the best communicator in the Democratic Party is Zohran Mamdani. Not only is Zohran Mamdani saying all the things that need to be said, he's actually establishing a track record in New York City of getting things done.
Yep.
And that shit he did with Netanyahu last week, listen, you don't have to be a Democrat and adopt that rhetoric, but boy, let him cook. Cause that shit is impactful. Because he on the campaign trail, he was saying he wanted to get Netanyahu locked up because he said Netanyahu is a war criminal who has an arrest warrant out there from, what's the organization, the international, what is it, Chris?
ICC?
ICC. Chris is shrugging his shoulders because Chris, for whatever reason, doesn't understand politics. This is good politics, Chris. It's a good stunt. It's a good strategy. It riles people up. It gets the people going.
It is a political stunt.
Who is the guy that constantly is talking about locking up his political opponents? You don't want to learn nothing from Trump because y'all hate him so bad. But the reality is he says things that are sticky that get the people going. And I said this before, Mamdani adopted a lot of Trump's rhetoric.
I did a piece about this. I think he's the left Trump in a lot of ways.
He just has.
I fuck with Mamdani. I like him a lot. This was too performative for me.
Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal, the architect of a horrific genocide against the Palestinian people. He is responsible for the killing of more than 73,000 people, for the maiming of tens of thousands of children as those who survive undergo amputation without anesthesia, for the targeting of neonatal hospitals and maternity care centers, denying newborns even the chance to live, for the countless people he starved as he blocked food and humanitarian aid from reaching them, for the gunning down of hundreds of aid workers and journalists. And just last month, the UN confirmed that Palestinian children continue to be deliberately targeted and killed by Israeli armed forces, more than 8 months after the so-called ceasefire. The list goes on and on, all as we, as Americans, pay for the bombs that do the killing. There is a reason the International Criminal Court issued a warrant for his arrest. As human beings, we have spent generations building a shared understanding that there are crimes so grave they offend all of humanity. Anyone, with their eyes, with their heart, with their conscience, should recognize the devastation he has wrought and understand that he belongs before a court of law. As I've said, I agree with the ICC that Benjamin Netanyahu should be arrested and tried for his crimes, as I do for anyone else charged by the ICC. My administration has reviewed every avenue available under applicable law to determine whether New York City could execute the International Criminal Court's arrest warrant if Benjamin Netanyahu came here. It is clear that we do not have the independent legal authority to enforce this warrant. The federal government, however, does, and I call on them to join the ICC and execute this warrant. And I want to be equally clear. Benjamin Netanyahu is not welcome in New York City, nor is any other war criminal at large. While we cannot end the genocide on our own, we can decide whether our silence will become another weapon, and we can examine every tool we have to defend the humanity and dignity of all people. That is my commitment to you.
What was the defining moment of Mamdani when he ran for office? What was his defining moment?
Affordability.
No.
What do you mean? When he was on the debate stage.
Focus on the debate stage. And what did he say?
I'm going to focus on New York.
Are you going to go to Israel? And what did he say?
Yeah.
I'm going to focus on New York.
He was the one guy who stood up. I'm the fucking mayor of New York City. What the fuck am I going to go to Israel for?
But this was rooted in New York. He said if Netanyahu comes to New York
It's not the job
City,
of a mayor to arrest.
Yo, he's trying to keep the best New York summer going. Let him cook, yo. Y'all not letting him cook. Let him cook. If Bibi Netanyahu is considered
He's cooking.
a war criminal,
I'm just saying, turn down the heat a little
why?
bit.
If there's an arrest warrant for Bibi Netanyahu,
guys, we're having two different conversations.
why not say...
Charlamagne is having the marketing conversation.
That's all it is.
And Charlamagne has long spoken about how bad the Democrats are with marketing and messaging, right? So this, to him, is a magnificent and brilliant marketing and messaging move, especially if the party and the constituents want to feel like there are candidates that are brave enough to push back against AIPAC.
The establishment, the big establishment.
And the establishment. And this is an example of pushing back with, is it a, what's it called? A bullet that's not a real bullet? What is that called?
You can't even do it.
Yeah, I know. What is that called? Where it's like
a rubber bullet?
Is not even a rubber bullet. It's just a fake bullet. Like, is it?
I don't know.
Is it an empty threat? yes, it's an empty threat. And he's acknowledging that the threat is empty, but the messaging meets the constituents and they get riled up about it and they really like it and they're supported by it.
Okay, so I think what I'm really saying is I'll concede all that.
You know, it's build a wall.
Right.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Right.
It's like,
yes.
But so
a new leader.
Okay, so let me build a wall. Immigration was a very effective marketing campaign, let's call it messaging, for Trump, because I think people really wanted that and he tapped into something. My concern is the Democratic left, whatever you want to call it, is about to eat itself alive if Israel continues to be the defining issue for the party, right? I feel the defining issues for the party right now is Trump is literally dismantling democracy in this country day by day, step by step. It's happening at an incredibly fast pace. The job is get him out of here, and then you figure that stuff out. And I know that might sound very cold when you're talking about people who are getting slaughtered, killed by bombs, paid for by US dollars. I understand all that. I think the future of the country is at stake, and everybody should be united
so
to
let's
take out that threat.
Let me just say one thing.
To get him out here.
Let me say one thing to that.
Yeah.
Let's assume that is true. Like no pushback, right? Obviously egregious overstepping, the corruption to another level, not even including like another fucking potentially endless war, like everything.
It's only 67 billion, man.
Yeah. Again, zero pushback to what you're saying. But the question that we have to answer right now is what you're feeling, what the average person is feeling, and what they're upset about.
Yeah.
And I would gamble that Mamdani is more aware of what his constituents care about than what you are, even if you are more right in what is best for the country.
So the only path for what I'm calling for is basically
Trojan horse.
We're throwing Israel under the bus. It's done.
It's not throwing Israel under the bus.
We're not throwing under the bus.
It's throwing Bibi Netanyahu under the bus.
We're going to Israel. It's over. This whatever relationship has existed has to end.
And this is what they feel. They're throwing Bibi Netanyahu under the bus, who's a corrupt leader.
I agree.
And they're throwing AIPAC under the bus, who they feel is an organization who funds all of these candidates who don't have the best interests of the people.
I can't argue with that.
So that's what he's doing by highlighting this. It makes Donald Trump them have to come to the defense of Bibi Netanyahu. So you're coming to the defense.
So this is a rope-a-dope.
Yes, you're coming to the defense of an international war criminal who's responsible for all of these babies being killed in Gaza. So I'm saying I'm going to arrest that international war criminal if he steps foot in New York City, or at least I'm going to see if I can, which he knows he can't. And now this administration has to come to the defense of these people that we know that they're beholden to. It's actually brilliant.
It's chess. Now, does it eventually lead to your intended goal? Potentially.
Maybe. I think so.
Maybe not. But in terms of marketing and understanding what the base wants, and not only what his base wants, but potentially what the Republican base is frustrated with the Republicans for.
Right.
Now you cause a fracture within that base. Right? So to me, it seems like a smart political strategy. I think, what?
I was just going to say, I started this agreeing with Chris, where just like, I didn't really like that move, but after hearing it put that way, now I understand it better. The reason why I dislike it, because like he has been the, hey, I'm focusing on the issues guy. Like they're trying to throw him off and it's like, oh, what about Iran? What about this? And he's like, no, the issue is New York and I'm getting shit done. And he's been doing that. He's getting stuff done. He's showing you the work. Like ignore the noise, because this is hoopla. This is shit that you can't even do. You know you can't even do that. So why invite this noise to distract you from just focusing on New York and getting stuff done?
He's looking at the bigger picture.
It's political capital.
I get it, but I'm just saying.
Like November's right around the corner.
You need political capital.
Democrats need as much political capital as they can get.
And the reality is that like, he has limitations in terms of how high he can ascend in the United States of America simply because he wasn't born here. So can he be president? No. But can he gain enough political capital where he is the face of the party? Then he can insert people in these positions of power that he might not have. But now his ideas get to permeate through those figures.
Gotcha.
There was a point where I didn't think Zohran Mamdani could be effective all around the country. And I still am leery about that, especially when it comes to where I'm from in the South. You know what I'm saying? I'm born and raised South Carolina, right? I don't know if Zohran Mamdani can connect with those older black voters in the South. I'm not sure he can, but I know that those young voters that you want to rile up around the country for the midterms, you're going to need his voice. And if he keeps doing stuff like this, let him talk to that audience. That's the problem with Democrats. They call themselves a big tent, but they want everybody to be on one message. No, if everybody's a big tent, let this group talk to this group, and let that group talk to this group, and this group, y'all go down there and talk to this group. There shouldn't be a fit. Shit should be like the NBA right now. It should be multiple people that represent this one party.
To Mamdani's credit, when asked about this, he said that he would work with people within the party that he disagreed with. Like even on issues, which I thought was like a smart political statement. I don't know if his supporters will support that. Eventually, he's going to be in a position where he's supporting a candidate that might be pro-Israel, something like that, but it's for the benefit of the Democratic Party, and we'll see if he's willing to do that because they agree on other issues.
You got to show you're willing to fight these people in your own party.
But also, if you actually want the big tent, which I think has been an issue probably for liberalism or Democrats in general, which is like, there's certain things that we cannot accept. And if you do this, we cannot allow you to be in it. And you might even say, like, is also the problem of the Republican Party. It's like, it's too big a tent. It's just like, hey, you agree we should lower taxes? You're a serial killer? All right, bro. You think taxes should be lower, right? Like, they'll accept anybody, and the Democrats will accept too few. There's a too myopic view. So, what ends up happening? I don't know. Who knows? But like that's going to take some real political capital to get people in your party to trust that you are making a decision, even if it goes against kind of what they believe.
But that's why Zohran is effective.
Yeah, because
bucks the system.
And
let him buck.
And he's gaining the trust of everybody because he's like, hey, I'm running. I'm going to do this, this, and this. Yes. And he's checking each one of these things off.
What are the things that you feel like he's checked off for you that like
rent-free, sorry.
Yep.
Daycare in New York City.
Daycare. What's it called?
Did they do the daycare though?
Yeah, that was like one of the first things he got passed.
That's in effect.
Oh, they did?
Affordable housing. They're building more. They're targeting shitty landlords like the slumlords and stuff like that.
Yep.
The supermarkets, whatever that deal, I don't know that's not going to affect me that much, but the fact that he ran on it and he's actually putting it into effect when they said, hey, you're not going to be able to do this. First one's going to be open up, I believe, later this year. So it's like...
You also balance the budget.
Yeah.
But not really.
No, as much as any of those other things.
But come on.
Yo, you helped them win, yo. Cut it out. Cut it the fuck out.
I helped everybody win. Can I get some credit though?
Yeah, but my thing is how often do we get politicians that run on stuff and actually do it? So the fact that he's doing it, he's actually getting the trust of people.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying what is the effective thing for you?
I think he's got a lot of things done in New York, and I think he's the most effective messenger in the Democratic Party.
Fantastic.
Especially to a group of people who were completely soured on the party.
Yes.
You got a whole swath of people that's like, fuck the Democratic Party.
But they were soured on the party.
They're Democrats.
But they were soured on the party because the party refused to acknowledge what the people wanted. They kept stuffing in candidates that the people didn't want.
That's right.
And that's how you sour a party. When this is a democracy. At the end of the day, you have to listen to the people.
Let Mamdani cook. I don't need Mamdani to be like Josh Shapiro. I don't need Josh Shapiro to be like Gavin Newsom. I don't need Gavin Newsom to be like Javin. I don't need any of them to be alike. I just need all of them to energize whoever they energize.
Do you think
need them to get behind somebody eventually?
Yeah. Do you think they'll all be able to do that?
Of course they will.
Well,
I don't know.
I think this is going to be an issue.
Suppose Josh Shapiro's the nominee in 28, and he takes let's call it a Kamala-esque approach to Israel. Where
he's not taking no Kamala-esque.
Well, he can't go.
No. This is the thing. Let's talk about that. Josh Shapiro was one of the first people taking Bibi Netanyahu to task. Josh Shapiro was one of the first people calling Bibi Netanyahu out. Go check the record.
Example, like the president who supports a two-state solution. I personally believe Benjamin Netanyahu is one of the worst leaders of all time and has steered Israel in a wrong direction and made Israel less safe and made their future less bright because of his leadership.
Like he's never rocked with Bibi Netanyahu. So if you actually listen to the candidate, if he becomes the candidate, if you actually listen to him, and the nuance and go back and look at his track record, you'll see he's always called Bibi Netanyahu up.
The question is that enough?
No, because they're going to say he's so pro-Israel, which why would he's Jewish?
But that's the thing.
And what's wrong with being pro-Israel? I think there's a difference between being pro-Israeli current government, Bibi Netanyahu, and being pro-Israel.
Well,
I'm pro-America, but I'm not pro-Trump.
Right. So the question is, does the party recognize that difference? And I think that the people that are in control and are empowered in the party, like I think if you ask Mamdani if he's pro-Israel, he says no. Like straight up. Like I think he views it as a...
They've asked him that actually.
Yeah, and he says no.
What was his answer? I don't know.
He says he believes in two equal states.
No.
Yeah.
He says, I don't believe in any state that does not have equality for its citizens. And he doesn't view Israel as having equal rights for its citizens. So that's his elegant way of saying no. I mean, he speaks in like...
He said he advocates for a state with equal rights, stating that he cannot support any nation, whether it is Israel or Saudi Arabia, that legally privileges a specific religion.
Exactly.
What's wrong with that?
Well, there's nothing wrong with his statement, but what he's basically saying is that as long as there aren't equal rights, I won't support it. And now you're going to get into the minutia of equal rights, which is if you're Jewish, you have the right to return to Israel. But let's say you're a Christian and all of your family comes from the land of Israel, you don't have the right to return as a Christian. So that might be a separation of rights because it exists as a Jewish state. I think if you ask Zohran, honestly, do you believe in a Jewish state that is Israel? I think in his most honest moment, he would be like, not in the current structure of the government. If the government did reflect complete, equal rights for everybody, then sure. But then it wouldn't be a Jewish state, probably. Again, I don't want to speak for him, but I imagine. So there you go. Yeah. Now you're going to have the party is going to have some trickiness, and then that's where will Zohran get behind somebody who is like, I believe in supporting the state, and I believe giving weapons. I also believe in all these other progressive values for America that Zohran agrees with. Will he step over that line? That might be a red line for him.
Mm-hmm. What did Shapiro say about Netanyahu? Pull that up, Chris. Because, it's a fine time to start talking about guys like this because they are going to be the ones that are in the running, okay?
So, who do you think it is?
I don't know who the actual candidate's going to be, but, Shapiro's definitely going to be one of the candidates when the primary happens.
Shapiro has explicitly called Netanyahu, if I'm saying his name correctly, I'm probably not, a, quote, horrible leader who is steering Israel in a dangerous direction. He regularly criticizes Bibi's rhetoric, particularly slamming his denial of the starvation crisis in Gaza as abhorrent and wrong.
But the question...
And he was saying that before October 7th.
The question is, right? Is that enough?
You're right.
I don't think that will satisfy the appetite.
You're right.
I think that there was a time where it would. Simply speaking out against the leadership and then the actions of the government. I feel like it has shifted even further now where it's just like...
Now you got to threaten to get him arrested if he steps on American soil because he's an international war criminal.
And as of this year, March, I guess Shapiro went on a podcast tour where, according to The Hill, he's leaning into his... support of Israel, quote, for those who begin by suggesting that Israel doesn't have the right to exist as a Jewish state, I think that is a recipe for permanent war, Shapiro said.
He's a Jewish man. That's the wildest thing to me. Why wouldn't you expect a Jewish man to rep for his homeland? You can not like the government and the leadership, but still rep for your homeland.
I get it. I'm guilty of the same thing. The reason I'm going to push back...
That's common sense to me.
Sure, but that might not be enough for the party and what the party wants.
Right. That's kind of my bigger question.
The concern is...
So let Mamdani cook and try to get the Mamdanis of the world on your side. Because when the Mamdanis of the world endorse you and say, this is our guy, he's already done that heavy lifting for you, so you don't have to.
Here's an example.
Chris, come on. That shouldn't be an aha moment. Come on.
Here's an example. There was this Kennedy Nepo baby that was running. That was like TikTok popular. His name was Jack Schlossberg.
Barely TikTok popular.
No, he was really popular at one point. Yeah, and he was a progressive darling on TikTok. And there was this girl that like interviewed him, and Now, to be fair, not a good candidate, never had a real job, like never had any, purpose to be in there.
He's only there because he's a Kennedy.
He's only there because he's a Kennedy and because he was making TikToks. And like the young progressives got behind him because they were like, this guy's a progressive and he's a Kennedy. It's like all worlds are working perfectly. And, in his mind, he's like, okay, I've never had a job and like, this is my destiny. I should do what my family did or whatever. And he got interviewed by a girl, I think her name is Crackhead Barbie or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I remember her.
And she was
From
like,
Brooklyn, right?
I think she is.
Yeah.
She's like, say free Palestine, Jack, or something like that. She's literally in like a powdered wig. She's in the same thing. And he goes,
wild.
I can't say that.
Right.
Campaign nosedives. I think he was the front runner at one point. Campaign nosedives, loses the election. And I think that for the progressive, especially in New York, I don't know what it's like in Maine, but especially in New York, that has seemingly turned into an issue where if you are not on the right side of it, they will not support you. So, and his thing wasn't, like, I believe in giving defensive weapons. He wasn't even like, yes, everything they're doing. He said all the things. He said Bibi's bad. He said all the shit, but we should give defensive weapons. And that was, they were calling him Genocide Jack.
Yeah, something smells a little, something smells a little dangerous to me right now.
Dangerous in what way?
And maybe again, this is the Jew.
And if Chris can smell it,
right.
It's
that was a lob, by the way. But that was a lob. But I don't like that. I don't like this kind of all or nothing. Say it.
I agree with
get in
that.
line with the party. If you don't say it, you're out of here. We can't support you.
It's the same lack of nuance that has been destroying things for the last decade.
I don't like it.
I agree with that.
But I don't like it. But this is the Achilles heel of the party.
Yes.
Right.
And this is the...
Well, it's the same on the right. It's just Trump.
For the last 10
say
years.
it. And if you don't say it...
Well, I would say...
And you're saying cracks along the same fault line, which is...
Of course.
Israel, which then, again, the Jew in me is like, why has Israel become the fault line that connects these two things on opposite ends of the spectrum, right? Now, you could say in response to that, well, it's because they're fucking bombing babies.
I don't think they've done
That's
themselves...
exactly what it is,
I don't
Chris.
think they've
You
done
answered your
themselves
question.
any favors, right? Like you're seeing footage in 4K that like if you see it's very difficult to get behind. You're also seeing like policy decisions from our government that don't seem to be prioritizing like American citizens. And I think you saw this like even with the US aid stuff, right? Like initially this idea, there was a visceral reaction from a lot of Americans and it was handled poorly and all that stuff. But this idea to like, wait, how much money is going abroad to these random causes?
Yeah.
And then the way that it was done and it just with an axe and not really understanding, of course.
But there's always been, and I don't want to diminish how people feel about it because obviously it's a very real and serious situation, but there've always been these causes internationally that at a particular moment capture, let's say, the far left's kind of passions and intentions. When I was a kid, it was Sandinista, Nicaragua, all these places that...
Joseph Kony.
Right. We had put money into coups there. We had propped up dictatorships.
Sure.
And there was energy around it, but it was never anywhere. And maybe this is because of social media. Maybe the landscape's changed. This is a different type of energy. And it's inflexible. And...
Yes.
There's something that doesn't feel all the way. But again, this could just be me being, I don't know. I have some internal stuff I got to work out.
You're going to have a greater sensitivity to it.
Sure.
Given your experience and the experience of like your family.
Sure.
Just like you guys are going to have a greater sensitivity to things that might appear to be oppressive or racist towards Black people, that some white person be like, why do you even think it would happen? That's got nothing to do with it. Like the way that you guys might see, and this is not to create an even correlation, but this is just like an understanding, is like the way that you guys might interpret a DEI thing is going to be so different than some white guy who's just like, well, it's just let everybody get the job. Like we can't, whereas you guys might go, well, first is DEI, then they're never going to hire us. And this is their way of just getting it back to all white boys in power and positions of authority. Right? Like, so there's going to be certain sensitivities that people have given the things that impact them.
And look, I've been in a couple of events recently where they weren't rallies, they weren't pro-Palestinian events, but just kind of spontaneously or, they start free Palestine chants. And I'm kind of like...
It's a hot button issue,
I'm looking around like, do I, I might need to get out of here. And my wife is like, relax, man. Like...
Well, that's
relax. I know karate.
That's the
What you gonna do now?
What do you say?
to relax. I know karate.
I didn't say that.
You did.
What the fuck?
We're gonna let that stand,
Yeah.
but shame on you. Okay,
It's kung fu, okay? Karate's the Japanese.
shame on you.
But yeah, I think the I think there's probably a lot of people that share your sentiment, Chris.
Yeah, I don't know. What do I know?
And this is the tricky thing, because even as we sit here and I'm like trying to navigate this conversation, you're dealing with, at least as if I've witnessed, which is like two completely different knowledge sets on the internet,
Sure.
and both do not exist within the same reality.
And some aren't even real. Some are bots that are going to take this conversation and flip it, bounce it,
100%. And every
put out
one
something else that we didn't even say.
every one of the countries that is views us as their opposition, or we view them as our opposition, is inflaming this controversy and this conversation in the worst possible way here, because it benefits them that we're more divided. But like, even as I'm trying to navigate this, it's fruitless in a lot of ways, because when you have two completely different knowledge sets about what's happening, it's like debating history with two people that don't share the same version of history.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? And so it's like you want to have an open discourse about it, but simply presenting something in a way, like for you heard Free Palestine, and in your brain you're like, does that mean they want to kill me?
Right.
I'm sure there's people who hear the term Free Palestine, they're like, hey, we just want them. What's the opposite of Free Palestine? Enslaved Palestine? Nobody wants people to be enslaved. So why is this term so terrifying to you? Right? Like, why are you?
I think it's also interesting because I'm someone who is very much against AIPAC, and I'm very much, so politically,
Sure.
I'm even aligned with the sentiment. I think it's the energy.
I think they lose you when they stop having nuanced conversations, Chris.
Right.
When they just generalize all Jewish people and all of Israel.
Sure.
It's not even generalized conversation. It's like people get lost when they're not even having the same conversation. And I'm telling you, trust me, and it's been like absolutely demoralizing the last year having conversations with people, because I genuinely really enjoy doing it. But when I have conversations with people on different sides of the aisle that I genuinely respect and find intelligent, I go, wow, you guys are in two different worlds. Like, there's no way even having this discourse publicly would be able to work, because you wouldn't convince any of your constituents.
People are retreating back to this very prime. And look, to be clear, I
on
said
both sides.
I said what I said about Free Palestine. Some of my most absolutely frustrating conversations have been with other Jews who I considered rational, smart, nuanced people who were talking like fucking cavemen to me. Like, I have a friend who's arguing about, he's like, well, it's not technically genocide because in order for it to be genocide, 13.4% of the population. And I'm like, do you hear what you're like trying to parse this in percentages?
It's tens of thousands of innocent
the fact
babies.
that you're even taking the stance means that it's horribly wrong.
We don't got to get into language.
It's like crazy that you're even trying this argument with me. So that's incredibly
being
frustrating.
Killed.
Yeah,
like that should be like that's it. Like
right. He's like, yeah, but technically the amount of percentage of Jews killed on October 7th represents, I'm just like, I can't listen to this shit. Like,
again, this is one of these things where it's like, I promise you, even this very podcast, there'll be excerpts taken.
People will hear exactly
they
what.
will clip it to their advantage, and people will monetize it, and people will do reaction videos.
I think this was a nuanced conversation.
It always is.
I think it was a very nuanced conversation.
We're the most nuanced people out here,
and that's why we're clipped the most.
Yes,
because we're actually willing to have conversations with people we might disagree with.
Right.
Like Zohran is a perfect example. Unbelievably skilled, like so skilled, beautifully articulate, and his ability to communicate. Do I disagree on certain economic decisions that he's making? For example, like, do I think freezing the rent actually hurts more people? Yes. But do I agree with him on the sentiment that rent is crushing people and we need to do something to help it? I think the only thing that will actually help it in the long term is building more units.
He's doing it.
They're doing that too, though.
Well, they're technically doing it, but in order to actually do it, you're going to have to raise money. I mean, I don't want to get into
and build me some middle class while you're at it.
Well, no. Of course. I guess what I'm saying, like, again, in order to actually erect these structures, it's going to be difficult, to require a lot of government money, which is going to require more taxes. And if you want to do it in the private sector, you don't have incentive structure for it if you're going to keep the rents low. Again, I don't want to bore people with the details of this, but like, I've asked all my buddies in real estate, I'm like, why don't we just build more units? Like, this is the greatest city in the world. Why can't we just get those up? Because to me, my fear is if you freeze rents for half the city, well, what kind of pressure does that put on the free market rents? These are frozen. Nobody's leaving those. So these over here are going to go way higher. That's basic economics. Even a dumb guy like me can understand that.
You know, another thing I was thinking though, like there really isn't too many places to build in New York. And I forgot what building it was recently that they were building something.
Buckled.
That's the one in Midtown, yeah.
That is the other problem with New York City. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
like,
just to button that point is like, I agree with him on the ethos of it. And I felt this way about Bernie too. It's like, I agree with where your heart is on this issue. How we actually solve the issue, the prescription for that pain, maybe we have disagreements on how to get there, but at least your heart is in the right place.
You know what I like about him?
Some people's heart ain't even in the right place. So it's like...
Exactly. But you know what I like about him? Bing. Not only did he talk it, he's at least trying to walk.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with the direction he's walking in, but boy, he's in there at least trying. He's doing something. Yeah. We don't know if that shit gonna work or not, but he's trying.
Look,
we see motherfuckers tell us they gonna do something, get in and don't even try. You be like, yo, what happened to that?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I heard like, facts. There was another one that like, I heard come about and like, it was the pied-à-terre tax. Did you guys hear about that? So it's like, people that have, I'm not trying to get you, people that have a second home in New York. They're not New Yorkers that got a second home, but someone from outside New York that got a second home in New York. And I think it was like, there was going to be a tax levied against it for any apartment that was worth more than,
I think 50 mil, something.
$5 million or something like that. And I was like, that's a really interesting idea because there are probably all these people that have a second or third home in New York that now that home can't be rented by people who really need to create more. We need to create more units. And here's an example of it's just going empty and like, at least, you know, benefit the city in some way. But here's the thing. It's like a $5 million home. How many middle class or poor or working class people can afford to buy or rent a $5 million home?
You're trying to make it so they don't buy it in the first place because the big problem with New York real estate
Chris, real quick, just to for that point. So they don't buy it. And what?
I know, but you got so many people in Russia and China and all these countries stashing who are liquid in those countries. And those are unstable countries. And it's so much safer to put it in American real estate and half the money is corrupt anyway. So, hey, is it $5 million for that apartment? Sure, I'll pay that 10, 15.
Yeah.
It's artificially inflated the entire market. So it's a way to try to
do what?
To make it slightly less attractive to those guys. Maybe they'll go put that money.
But what does that do for the people who actually are suffering under the rent crisis in New York?
You're right, because the distance between whatever the market rate is.
Can I tell you what it actually does, in actuality, what it does?
What?
So I have a friend of mine. He's a very, very successful guy, and he spends an exorbitant amount of money per month in rent.
Right.
Once he heard about that pied-à-terre tax, he literally told his landlord, you're going to have to take 30% off of my rent price. And then he goes, what are you talking about? He goes, nobody's going to afford this because there's about to be 100, 200 units that enter the market right here at luxury levels.
So leveraged it.
So what it's doing is it's saving the wealthiest people in the city money, the wealthiest people who choose to rent that are in New York City because they're luxury places. Now, if he did it for everything above $500,000, all of a sudden you would have all these middle class units and even working class units that would open up because now a guy who lives in San Francisco most of the year wouldn't keep an apartment in New York that he's only in 3 weekends as an investment property that no one's there. Then those would enter the market. So to that point, I would be like, well, that's an interesting thing that's really going to create what we would call liquidity in the market. Yeah.
I think you're kind of focusing on the wrong thing because if you're trying to, hey, let's tax the rich, but we have no way of taxing them because they find ways to get around the tax. It's like, hey, this is something that's only going to affect rich people, and it will bring more money into the city. It's not about opening these apartments up to the middle class.
So if it's not about opening the apartments, but finding a way to levy a tax against wealthy people, then that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I think what I saw the marketing as is finding a way to open more units. So what it does is effectively is it taxes those people, right? And the wealthy people. If they're willing to pay it, they pay the tax. If they're not willing to pay it, all it does is create luxury condos that are cheaper for the wealthiest people.
Right.
So it's like,
Still, whoever buys them eventually will have to pay that tax. So
no,
even if it goes to somebody else,
only if it's a pied à terre.
like if it's their second home.
Only if it's their second home.
Okay.
That's
And
crazy.
only if it's their second home and you don't live in New York City. So this is a perfect example of like, I agree with the ethos behind it. Like I like it, and I actually, there's a compelling thing there, and they're trying to figure things out, and I give credit in that regard. But the prescription for the problem, I don't know if it ends up helping the middle class people and the working class people that are really being crushed by rent here, because that's not a fucking joke. Like they are.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
That's all we can do. Let's do some Asking Idiots, man.
Yeah, one more.
One more what, man? Yeah, y'all ain't got no BIP in a minute, bro. I'm glad y'all got that BIP just now, yo.
Mars.
Come on, Sean.
No, this BIP is an acronym. Brewing Idiot Politics. That's all. Just give him some BIP, a little bip. You got a little bip. You know, like that little bip just
You got to do it better than that.